Welcome back, students. Welcome to research methodology lecture of Unit 4, and today we are going to talk on measurement and scaling. Yesterday I explained to you about data collection, and data is collected through different methods, primary data and secondary data. But today I'm going to explain you that how this data can be divided into various categories. And when these data can be divided into various categories, it becomes easier for you all to it becomes easier for you all to put it on Excel or put it on SPSS, that is software programming for social sciences, or even for R programming, even for Python programming. You can use your data, provided you know that how are you going to scale your data and how you are going to measure your data. Again, I would like to introduce myself. I am Dr. Simrina Singh, explaining you measurement and scaling from Sage University. Now, measurement concept. What is measurement? Measurement, you can understand, it means like if I want to measure my height, I will measure it in centimeters, or I'll measure it in feet and inches. So that is what is a measurement concept. Measurement is a process of mapping aspects of a domain onto other aspects of a range according to some rule of correspondence. So naturally there has to be a correspondence between, you should be the correspondence of what, that you should be able to relate to the data not only to yourself but to the entire world. If I am saying that my height is 5 feet 6 inches, it means that it is 5 feet 6 inches whether I am in India or in America or in anywhere in the world. Similarly, when you are doing a research and you are collecting data, you have to put them into a measurement scale. Now, when you will put them into a measurement scale, why are we putting them into a measurement scale? Because we want our research to be understood anywhere in the world. And for that, your data should be scaled up properly and it should be measured properly. Clear to everyone? So measurement means assigning numbers or some symbols to the characteristics of certain objects. So that measurement has to be properly assigned. Now, measurement scales. Scaling involves creating a continuum on which measurements of objects can be located. Now, types of scales. Scales, you understand, you have 6-inch scale, you have 12-inch scale, then you have a meter scale, then you can have a kilometer scale, and these are all digital scales, these are all number scales. Now in social sciences, what happens is, or in any kind of a research, what happens is we divide the data into 4 kind of scales. Now what are those 4 kind of scales? As you can see it on the screen, it is nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. I'm going to be a little fast on this, students, because it takes a lot of time at times, but you please concentrate, put your eyes, mind and soul into this lecture so that you may understand the scaling process of data. Now, how are you going to how are you going to scale the data? The first aspect is nominal scale, which is a very simple scale. Nominal word by itself means what? Nominal word has been derived from the word name. Name means my name. Now, my name is Simrina, your name is Radha, or your name is Subhash, or your name is Abhijit. A certain identity has been given to me. So that identity is, I can say that it is a nominal scale. So a scale in which the numbers or letters assigned to objects serve as labels for identification or classification. So for me, Simrina is a classification, or it is an identification of me. Similarly, Simrina becomes a bigger name because I am an individual is a complete identity. But if I want to find out a characteristic identity of my qualities, on certain research issues or certain research problems, then we have a smaller identity, and that is, if I've given you an example, gender, nationality. Now, what is your gender? I can be a I am a female, and you can be a male. Nationality, I can be an, are you an Indian or a non-Indian? So I'm an Indian, yes. Then if you are a non-Indian, then it is no. Now, what are we going to do in nominal scale? Why are we scaling the data? Just remember, students, we are scaling the data so that we can put the data in a quantitative form into the Excel or into the SPSS. So when we want to put our data into Excel or into SPSS, we must change our qualitative data into quantitative data. And when we change our qualitative data into quantitative data, it is we can do it through nominal scale. And nominal scale is like male and female, I'm assigning number 1, number 2 to it. So that means the name given to female is number 1, the name given to male is number 2. That is what is nominal scale. A system of assigning, I'll read out this, a system of assigning number symbols to events in order to label them. Lower measurement and least powerful level of measurement. Naturally, this is a lower type of measurement. So when it is of a lower type, and in research we cannot say that we do not require a lower type of measurement. For example, I want to find out the like I've been taken the example in my last lecture also, the number of females affected in domestic violence. Now, if I want to find out that, naturally women will, I will donate women as number 1 and men as number 2. So 1 and 2, they all have a deterministic aspect on the research. So we cannot say that it is something, it is lowly. The only thing is the method of measuring it is lowly. It is very simple. So it is a simpler scale. There must be distinct classes, but these classes have no quantitative properties. Therefore, no comparison can be made for forms of one category higher than the other. What this slide is trying to tell you over here is that if your say female is 1 and your male is 2. So when your female is 1 and your male is 2, it does not mean that 1 is more, 2 is higher than 1. It does not mean that. This is what is being explained over here. Therefore, no comparison can be made for forms of one category. Comparison only, I am assigning these nominal numbers to them so that I can put my data into SPSS. That is why it is being done. Is it clear to all of you? Now the next is the ordinal scale. Now what does an ordinal means? Ordinal word comes, how in the word ordinal being generated from the word order. Order means ki in which order you are sitting, or in which order you have got marks, or in which order your appreciation for a particular thing is there. So a scale that arranges objects or alternatives according to their magnitude, that is called ordinal scale, and it is rank ordering. Rank ordering can be using excellent, good, fair, poor. अब उसके लिए आप क्या डालोगे? Ranks 1, 2, 3. Like for example, this particular picture is there, and in this picture we have hotter and hottest chilies. So when the hot scale में आप देख सकते हैं, this is the lowest and this is the highest. This is what is explained over here, that we are on ordinal scale. Now what is an interval scale? A scale, now see, we are going towards higher scaling methods. The first was your nominal scale, the second is your ordinal scale, and the third is your interval scale. Interval scale, a scale that only arranges objects or alternatives according to their magnitude, but also distinguishes disordered arrangements in units of equal intervals. Shows like for example 1 to 9, 10 to 19, इसके बीच में अगर आपने इंटरवल डालना है, then for example this particular clock you can see speedometer. So this is on interval scale. This, when we are trying to put our data into into such kind of specification, then that data scaling is called interval scale. I hope it is clear to all of you, dear students, and all these things are very important in research. Why they are important in research? Because unless you do not arrange your data in a proper systematized manner, you won't be able to go to the next step, and your next step is your hypothesis testing. And because what is hypothesis testing is like you are trying there are two types of research. One is inferential research and the other is आपकी in your inferential research you need to scale your data properly, and that is why you're studying about the scaling methods. A scale the next is your ratio scale. A scale having absolute rather than relative qualities and processing an absolute zero, where there is absence of a given attribute, represents actual amount of variable. See, this is what is your ratio scale. So ratio scale में यहाँ पे zero, what does zero would mean over here? Zero would mean that I am 0% sure that I am not going out of the house during the lockdown. I am 0% sure. This is what is the meaning of zero over here. And why I am talking about zero over here? Because when you are on a time scale, when you are on a numerical scale, zero is over here, and यहाँ पे आपका negative होता है और यहाँ पे आपका positive होता है. तो जब एक जगह पॉजिटिव होगा और एक जगह नेगेटिव होगा, सो ज़ीरो डेफिनेटली हैज़ इट्स वैल्यू इन दिस टाइप ऑफ अ स्केल. सो इन रेशियो स्केल वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस, बट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट 0% chances of my going out of the house. This is what is your ratio scale, and it is being written over here. Scaling techniques. Scaling describes, I hope it is clear to you, scaling measurement and scaling techniques. Scaling describes a procedure of ongoing numbers to various degrees of opinion, attitude, and other concepts. This can be done in two ways: making a judgment about some characteristics of them, placing him. I've already explained you this beta, ki what is constructing questionnaire in such a way that you are putting the right scores at the right place. Now scaling techniques, you have comparative scales here, and you have non-comparative scales here. In comparative scales we have paired comparison, constant sum, rank order, and Q sort. Whereas in non-comparative scale, we have continuous rating scales and we have itemized rating scales. In itemized rating scales, we have Likert scale, semantic differential scale, and staple scale. Comparative scaling techniques. A comparative scale is an ordinal or rank order scale that can be used for non-metric scales. नॉन मीट्रिक स्केल मतलब कि आपके पास उसका ऐसा कोई स्केल मीटर में नहीं है जहाँ पे 0 to 100 सेंटीमीटर्स लिखा हुआ है, 0 to 100 सेंटीमीटर्स लिखा हुआ है, एंड यू हैव दैट इज़ इक्विवेलेंट टू 1 मीटर. अगर ऐसे लिखा हुआ है आपके, तो इस तरीके का स्केलिंग इसमें नहीं है. The other thing is respondents evaluate 2 or more objects at one time, and objects are directly compared with one another as part of the measuring process. This is, you are basically comparing yes with no. You are comparing color, blue color with orange color. This is what is comparative scaling techniques. Paired comparison, an ordinal level technique. A respondent is presented with 2 items at a time and asked to choose one. The most widely used comparison scaling technique is the paired comparison. If you take n brands, then n-1/2 paired comparisons are required. A classical example of when paired comparison is used is during taste test. Which one is better than the other? The other is constant sum. Constant sum, respondents are given a constant sum of units such as points, money, and then you have to distribute it. What does constant sum means? Constant sum means you have 100 rupees with you. You want to distribute this 100 rupees into say 1 2 3 4 5 categories. First is you want to at present you want to spend it on medicines, you want to spend it on food, you want to spend it on Netflix also, and you want to spend it on fruits also, and you want to spend it on cereals also. So how you are going to divide it into these 5 categories, this is what is constant sum. Clear? Constant sum scale, this is what is explained over here. Allocate a total of 100 points among the following online auction sites depending on how favorably you feel towards it. So Yahoo auction, Amazon, Priceline.com, eBay, ubid.com. So what you have total over here is 100. So how are you going to, how many points you are going to give it to these sites? So depending upon that, then the total must add up to 100. So इससे हमें क्या पता चलेगा कि if I give 50 to ये वाला Yahoo, and Amazon I give 10, and priceline.com I give 20, और इसको मैं 5 देती हूँ, तो हाँ 20 30 40 50, तो let me give it this equal to 30. Now if this is equal, this equal is coming to 100, and if I want to do a research on this, so naturally I will see that Yahoo auction is the most popular way of conducting it. Rank order scaling, this gives the respondents a set of items and then asks the respondents to put those items in some kind of an order. और एक order होता है, एक preference होता है, Likert scale इसमें can also be used. The other is Q sort. Respondents are asked to sort a given number of items or statements and classify them into predetermined number of sets according to some criteria such as preference, attitude, or behavioral intent. For example, I want to find out that economic times, how favorable it is. So if I want to, and then I'll take Bhaskar, how popular it is. Then I'll go to Times of India. Then I might go to Hindustan Times. Then I might go to Asian Age. Then आप अपने हिसाब से इसमें नंबरिंग करते हैं. तो जब नंबरिंग करते हैं, then we are able to, as a researcher, we are able to access these things, and when we are able to access these things, we are able to put it properly on SPSS, and that is the basic purpose of your studying measurement and scaling techniques. Respondents evaluate only one object at a time, and for this reason, non-comparative scales are often referred to as monadic scales. Non-comparative techniques consist of continuous and itemized rating scales. These are your non-comparative scales, and ये example आप देखिए continuous rating scales में. The form of continuous scales may vary considerably. Probably the worst, probably the best. Probably the worst, probably the best, और या आप इसके बीच में ऐसे कर सकते हैं. This is what is continuous rating scale. Itemized rating scales are provided with a scale that has a number or brief description associated with each category. Likert scale, we already know what is Likert scale, and this particular numbers you can see it is ranging from 1 to 5, strongly disagree to strongly agree. It can also range to 1 to 7, and it can also range to 1 to 9 depending upon your research objective. You must appreciate, students, that why you are studying measurement and scaling techniques. Measurement and scaling techniques you are not studying so that you can put it on the answer sheets. You are doing it in order to become good researchers, in order to understand that why we are converting our data into quantitative data, and these are the different methods of scaling it. Why we are doing it? Because I want to analyze that what is going to be the performance of my company. I can be an entrepreneur, and what is going to be the demand of my product, and what is going to be the supply of my product. So all this, you can do it as a good researcher, provided you know how to do these measurement and scaling techniques. Now, semantic differential scale. This is another very simple technique, semantic differential scale. What does it mean, semantic differential scale? Semantic word comes from the word that it is dealing with words. So you can be very powerful, you can be very weak, you can be very unreliable, you can be reliable, you can be modern, or you can be old fashioned, depending upon the type of research objective which you have. So semantic differential is a 7-point rating scale with endpoints associated with bipolar labels that have semantic meanings. So this controls the tendency of some respondents, particularly those with very positive or very negative attitudes. Individual items on a semantic differential scale may be scored on either -3 or +3 basis, or from 1 to 7. Staple scale is developed to measure the direction and intensity of an attitude simultaneously towards the under study. The characteristic of interest to the study at the center, with the numerical scaling ranging between +3 to -3. Graphic rating scale. ग्राफिक रेटिंग स्ट्रिंग स्केल, you're putting it on a number line. ग्राफिक्स में आप डाल रहे हैं, और सॉरी ग्राफिक में आप कैसे डाल रहे हैं. This is your x-axis, this is your y-axis, this is minus, this is positive, and this is also positive, this is also positive, and this is also negative. अब इस rating scale में आप कहाँ पे डाल रहे हो, that is what is your graphic rating scale. So students, I would like to thank you for your patient listening to what I told you today, and we are basically doing measurement and scaling of our data so that we can put our data for proper cooking into the software. Nice to be with you all. Thank you all.